Okay, good afternoon, class. Good afternoon to each and everyone. Here we are again to discuss the respiratory system. Last week, we started with the different parts of the respiratory system and the pathway of the air as we breathe in oxygen and we breathe out carbon dioxide. The pathway is just the same, no? So to start off, we have the nose, which is the point of entry of the air. Perhaps the mouth as well is the same, but we have the nose as the main point of entry of the air that we breathe in. Then comes the pharynx, then larynx, then trachea, then bronchi, then bronchioles, and then the alveoli. Okay, so this afternoon we're going to retrace these organs, the respiratory organs, and understand them in full details now that we have a background, now that we had a background of the different organs in the respiratory system, okay? So the respiratory system is simply, this consists of the lower and the upper respiratory tracts. The upper respiratory tracts, noted by the URT, includes the nose, pharynx, larynx, and the trachea. This is the URT or the upper respiratory tract. Illnesses that goes along with it are called upper respiratory tract infection. Infection of the larynx is known as the URTI, upper respiratory tract infection, whereas the lower respiratory tract includes the bronchi and the lungs. No? Once the trachea branches to the bronchi, then that's your lower respiratory tract. For a while, I'll admit Spencer and Jamie. Okay. Someone's audio is not turned off. Please mute yourselves. Ken Robertson is already around. Hi, Ken. Good afternoon, Ken. You are not
Good
around.
afternoon, sir.
You're not around in the morning, so I hope that you will see the video in YouTube, the link that I shared in the Edmodo. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. To continue, we have the function of the respiratory tract is to simply facilitate the entry of oxygen and the exit of carbon dioxide. Again, the two gases that are involved in the respiratory system exchange is simply the oxygen or the O2 and the carbon dioxide or the CO2. Okay, so the pathway of the air starts from the nose, then goes to the lungs, in particular the alveoli. And from the alveoli, goes back to the bronchi, then goes up to the respiratory tract, and then exits the nose. By the way, what's the name of the opening of our nose, class? What's the name of the opening of our nose? The one that the cockroach will go out. But sometimes we get to see cockroach in our nose. Have you experienced having a cockroach in your nose? The time when the nose hairs will go out ba? Diba? It looks like the feet of the cockroach. Okay. Uh, what's the name of the external opening of the nose? Was it not in your modules? If it's not there, the name is nostrils. No? Or the other name for it is nares or nares, spelled Nares. 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 External nares or nostrils. Okay. Please unmute yourselves since I hear chickens and carabaos calling my name. No? Okay, so let's proceed. So we have here the body needs oxygen or O2. This is not 02 but O sub 2. Okay, for carrying out the metabolic functions, and as a result, the byproducts of these metabolic functions is the carbon dioxide. Okay, which we need to release in the atmosphere. And in the near future, we are going to discuss the end result of these carbon dioxides to the plants, because this carbon dioxide is the is the is the is the is the gas that the plants need to produce the food that we get from these plants, no? And then the byproducts of plants is oxygen. That is why for houses who gets to be near to tree plantation, they have rich in oxygen, and it's quite cool in the area because of the richness of the oxygen. Okay, so we have here that these terminologies might not be in synchro or in succession, but allow me to have this first. Broncho or bronchos is to these terminologies are actually in medical practice used by medical practitioners. Okay, when they mention broncho or bronchio, that means your airways. In other words, a bronchoscope a bronchoscope is a telescope for the bronchus. It's a telescope directed to your bronchus or to your bronchi. Okay? That's a bronchoscope. Bronchoectasis is the dilation and the expansion of your bronchi. Ectasis, ectasis means dilation. Kinesia. Ectasis means dilation or expansion. Bronchi refers to your airways. So therefore, bronchiectasis means the dilation or the constriction of your airways or the passage of your air. So these are some terminologies that perhaps be helpful in the discussion of the human anatomy. Next one, we have here epigloss for the prefix epiglottis. This epiglottis is a structure that prevents the food from entering the trachea, and it is a flap which constantly opens and closes by the time we swallow the food or breathe in air. That is why we don't have to do at the same time simultaneously eating and talking. Okay? So we eat, after we eat, swallow the food, then we can talk. But by the time when we eat, and then at the same time we talk, our parents gets to be angry. No? Don't talk when your mouth is full. There's a reason behind it. Why our parents tends to nag most of the time? Because there's a reason behind it. Perhaps in the old times, because my lolo said so, because my lola said so. But now that you know the reason, you will not do it again. Okay? You need not to do it again. Talking while eating. Naso means nose, and the other medical terminology for naso is rhino. That is why if we have a rhinitis, it's an inflammation of our nasal cavity or the rhino cavity. So rhino or naso means nose. Nasal, we have here rhinoplasty, surgical repair of the nose, aka nose job. That prefix rhino means nose. And then plasty is a surgical operation to the nose. Therefore, to put together the terminologies rhino and plasty is a nose surgical operation. It's a nose job. Koreans are quite fond of rhinoplasty. No? Right? I'm not so sure if how many of the Korean stars doesn't have any nose job at all. Perhaps Ryan Bang doesn't have a nose job, no? Then we have here oro or oral that pertains to the mouth. So we express that the pharynx is composed of three divisions. One of the divisions there is the oropharynx. The oropharynx is the part of your pharynx that directs to your mouth throat. So if this is the nasal cavity, sa nose ha. Okay. This is the uh, oral cavity. This is the mouth. This is the tongue. So this part here is this one is the division of the mouth and the nose area. This is the lagos. What's the English term for lagos? It's the area where you eat milk powder and then that milk powder will stick to the lagos. You try that. When you secretly eat the milk powder, mukilaw mo gatas ba? No, mutapot diri sa lingag-ngag. So that's the palate. Palate or palat. Palate. Palate. You mentioned this when you buy something in the store. I'd say no palate ko this and that. Or this is, who is that audio? Turn off your audio, be. Kaya I hear my feedback. Oh, who turned on their audio? Hero, mute yourself. Mute, Hero, mute. Okay. So, okay. Going back, seriously speaking, this area here is the hard palate, and this area here is the soft palate. Where the end point of your soft palate is bulb. This bulb, when you draw a cartoon character, and then that cartoon character shouts, this is the tongue, and then somewhere here is that one, which vibrates when the cartoon character will shout, "Ah," something like that. This is the extension of the soft palate, and that part there is your uvula. Okay, uvula. That's the uvula. It's a finger-like projection of your soft palate. Again, uvula is the finger-like projection of your soft palate. So this area here is the nasal cavity. This is the nasopharynx. This is the oropharynx. Okay? And this area here is the laryngopharynx. Together is the pharynx. But in this illustration, we want to picture out the area where the oropharynx is located, but my scribbles doesn't enlighten everything. No? So oral pertains to the mouth. So we have that so-called oral rehydration salt. So it's something that you need to intake using your mouth. Okay, let's proceed with oxo. Oxo as a prefix means oxygen. Okay, oxo as a prefix means oxygen. There's this condition known as hypoxemia. Hypoxemia. We also have this hypoxia. We also have this hypoglycemia. But this one means hypoxemia. Hypo, the prefix hypo means deficiency. The prefix oxy, which rooted from the word oxo, means oxygen. And emia means blood. Blood na siya. Therefore, hypoxemia is the deficiency of oxygen in your blood. Okay? That's the condition when you are suffocated. When someone choke your throat, you'll experience less oxygen to be delivered by your blood to the cells. Thus, you'll have the hypoxemia. Okay? Then we also have here pharyngo. Pharyngo pertains to pharynx or throat. And we have this condition known as pharyngitis or pharyngitis. The pharyngitis, the itis means inflammation, something that is inflamed. No? Inflammation. I have a nice handwriting, right? So itis means inflammation. Pharyngo means pharynx or throat. Pharyngitis, as the word, means throat inflammation. Okay? It could be related to tonsillitis because our tonsils is located in the oropharynx. So that's itis. Rhinitis is inflammation of your nose. Sinusitis is inflammation of your sinuses in your nasal cavity. Um, Pleuritis is inflammation of the pleural cavity in your lungs. So these phrases, this suffix itis means inflammation. So again, for example, if your throat inflames, do not simply tell this to your parents, especially if your parents are nurses and doctors or nurse and doctor. You say, Mama, I have a tonsil. Okay? Your mom will simply say, I do have a tonsil as well, Nat. No worries, we have tonsils. So if your throat inflames, you simply say, Ma, I have a tonsillitis, which means your tonsils inflames. Okay? So the next part of this presentation is a look back of the respiratory system as we discussed it last week. We have here a video presentation of this of it to supplement your understanding. And I hope that I am already able to uh, solve the problem of audibility of the video. Please again unmute yourselves and then tell me, sir, the video is not hearable or the video is not audible. So are we ready for this video? Okay.
What's up, dudes, and what's up, ladies? Brian here again, and in this video we are going to look at the respiratory system. We're going to look at the functions of the respiratory system, its components, how the system works, and some things you can do to maintain a healthy respiratory system. So, let's roll. The respiratory system's main functions include transporting air into and out of the lungs, protecting the body against harmful particles that are inhaled, and its most important function, the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So it's basically about breathing. Now let's take a look at a diagram and we'll go through the respiratory system's main components. Starting here with the nose and nasal cavity, the mouth or oral cavity. The pharynx is here, and it is what we consider the throat. The pharynx is considered part of the digestive system as well as the respiratory system, and it connects the respiratory openings to the larynx and esophagus. The esophagus is not part of the respiratory system, and I'll get to why I put it in the diagram in a minute. Next we have the larynx, which is also called the voice box because the vocal cords are located here. The trachea, also called the windpipe, is here, and it connects to the bronchi, which merge into smaller tubes called bronchioles. And the bronchioles connect to tiny air sacs called alveoli. And then down here is the diaphragm. Now let's go through a very basic look at what happens during the breathing process. So air is breathed in through the nose or mouth. When it enters through the nose, it gets spread out by these shelf-like things here called conchi. The conchi help humidify the air and trap some inhaled particles. They also warm the air. The air next passes through the pharynx and enters the trachea. One note here, this little flap-like structure is called the epiglottis, and it has an important function. During breathing, it is pointed upward, allowing airflow into the trachea. However, during swallowing, it folds down to prevent food from going into the trachea, directing the food into the esophagus. If food does enter the trachea, the gag reflex is induced to protect the respiratory system. The epiglottis here, this little thing, shows you how amazing the human body is. Anyways, back to airflow. So air continues down the trachea and enters the bronchi. From there it enters into smaller bronchioles and finally into the alveoli, which are surrounded by a network of capillaries. And this, folks, is where the magic happens. Oxygen enters the alveolar sac and the gas exchange occurs. Capillaries give up their waste carbon dioxide and pick up oxygen. Carbon dioxide is then exhaled through the air passage the oxygen was inhaled through, and the oxygen picked up by the blood returns to the heart. During this breathing process, the diaphragm is busy as well, contracting as we breathe in, which allow the lungs to expand, and relaxing as we exhale. Some minor respiratory disorders include the common cold, influenza, acute bronchitis, which is inflammation of the bronchi, and pneumonia, which is inflammation of the bronchioles and alveoli. Some of the more damaging disorders include chronic bronchitis, where the bronchi become inflamed and narrowed, mainly caused by tobacco smoke, emphysema, where the alveoli become overstretched, and lung cancer, which in almost 9 out of 10 cases is caused by tobacco smoke. What can you do to maintain or improve respiratory system health? Maintain a healthy weight. Excess weight compresses respiratory muscles and puts more stress on your lungs. Drink plenty of water. Dehydration can cause the mucus lining your airways to thicken and become sticky, making you more susceptible to illness. Consume foods rich in vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, such as fruits, veggies, and nuts, which can help reduce inflammation and fight oxidative damage. Limit exposure to common allergens, such as dust mites, pollen, and animal dander. Maintain good hygiene. Many respiratory viruses are transmitted because of bad hygiene and poor hand washing. Don't overconsume alcohol. It dehydrates the body and weakens the immune system. Get more active. Regular aerobic activity can help your respiratory system. Add indoor plants. Plants have been shown to help improve air quality. Bottom line time. As you can see, the respiratory system has a major impact on overall health. As you may already know, breathing is kind of important. So eat a healthy diet, maintain an active lifestyle, and keep up good hygiene. Remember, folks, be happy and be healthy. All right. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. If you like the
Okay, so I saw the chat of Ahmad that the video can't be heard properly. I suggest Ahmad to use a headset. How about the others? Have you heard the video right? Have you heard the video properly? Okay, it's good. So therefore, I suggest you use a headset, Ahmad, or anything that could um, um, make the audio high, make the audio quite louder, not that you are going to rely only to your phone or to your laptop. So as you can see, class, in the last part of the video, it was stressed there that you need to be healthy, especially in your respiratory system. In the why we have this new normal of day-to-day discussion in the online, it's because of that respiratory tract infection caused by the coronavirus. And where did that coronavirus entered? It's in our respiratory system. That is why, as of the moment, you need to be very vigilant with what happens to your respiratory system. Now that you know the different parts of which, please take good care of your external nose because everything in the inside resides on what comes in through your nose. You are the ones inhaling that said air, and make sure that when you inhale that said air, you have the protective covering or the protective mechanism which no. So the next video that you're going to partake, I wish you to find the reason why we have three lobes in our right lung and two lobes in our left lung. Again, we have two lungs, the right lung and the left lung. The right lung contains three lobes, up in superior lobe, medial lobe, and inferior lobe. The left lung contains only the superior and the inferior lobe. That question will be answered hopefully by the next video that you're going to partake. Again, why do we have three lobes in our right lung and two lobes in our left lung? May I hear it from Ahmad? Do you have already a headset so that you can hear the video properly? Ahmad is not in the room. Okay, thank you, Ahmad. Thank you, Ahmad. So let's go to the next video then, and this is quite, shall we say, more understandable than the previous one. So hopefully you enjoy the next video and learn from it. Okay. Wait, sir. There's a text. You'll post the video in Edmodo, sir. Yes, I will post the video in the Edmodo. Okay. Okay, let's proceed with the video.
Respiratory system. To understand the process of breathing. In humans, the main organs responsible for respiration are present in the thoracic cavity. In the thorax region, the rib cage and a dome-shaped fibrous tissue, known as the diaphragm, are observed. Present within the rib cage are the pleural membranes, which enclose the lungs. The right lung is divided into three lobes: the right superior, right middle, and the right inferior lobe. The left lung is smaller and has only two lobes, the left superior and the left inferior lobe. Both the lungs are associated externally with small tubular bronchi, which unite and extend into the trachea. The trachea has incomplete C-shaped rings of cartilage, which prevent the tracheal wall from collapsing. The trachea leads into the pharynx, which is connected to the nostrils. As we breathe in air, the oxygen molecules enter the nostrils and travel downwards through the pharynx and trachea to finally reach the bronchi. From each bronchus, oxygen travels into the lungs. Within the lungs, the bronchus divides repeatedly to form bronchioles. Oxygen travels through these bronchioles and reaches the alveoli, each of which is surrounded by a network of capillaries. A section of one alveolus shows the presence of numerous alveolar chambers with pores.
For the time being, I wish you to observe this area. That's the red blood cells, okay? These are responsible to carry the oxygen needed to the different parts of our cells. The colored blue are the unoxygenated blood cells. The colored red contains already the oxygen, okay? So the blue refers to the unoxygenated blood. The red refers to the oxygenated blood. In other words, if we go back to the video, these blue here, if you notice these blue lines, this is your veins. This carries unoxygenated blood, whereas the red ones are your arteries. They carry oxygen related blood, okay? Or rather, let me rephrase the names again. The blue is the artery, the red is the veins. Sorry for that. Again, the blue ones are the ones that carries blood
They're
away from the
blue.
heart.
I thought they were green.
Okay, that's
People always say green. Okay.
that's blue. That's blue. Maybe in your video it's green, but for me it's blue. So the blue ones carries blood away from the heart. So this is the artery, which carries no oxygen. And then the red one goes back to the heart. These are the veins, which carries already the oxygen. Later on, as we go to the second lesson, which is about the circulatory system, you'll then have the further understanding of the arteries and the veins. Together with that will be the capillary beds in your alveolus. Okay, so let's proceed with the video.
Network of capillaries. A section of one alveolus shows the presence of numerous alveolar chambers with pores. Blood containing RBCs is seen flowing through the capillaries. The oxygen molecules from the alveolus diffuse into the capillary and then get absorbed by the bluish-purple RBCs. This causes oxygenation of the RBCs, and a transition in their color from bluish-purple to red is observed. The blood moving into the alveolus contains RBCs and carbon dioxide molecules. These molecules are released into the alveolus. The carbon dioxide collects in the alveolar chamber. And then from the alveolus, it travels through the bronchioles into the bronchus, which finally reaches the trachea, and is breathed out through the nostrils. So the process of breathing in air rich in oxygen is called inhalation. After the contraction of the muscular diaphragm, the lungs expand, and the air rushes in, resulting in the inflation of the alveoli. During exhalation, the diaphragm moves up and the lungs contract. Thus, the alveoli deflate, causing the air to be forced out. This exhaled air is rich in carbon dioxide. This process of inhalation and exhalation is known as respiration, which is approximately 20 times per minute. Summary. In the thorax region, the rib cage and the diaphragm are observed, which play a vital role in respiration. Present within the rib cage are the pleural membranes, which enclose the lungs. The right lung consists of 3 lobes, while the left lung has only 2 lobes. Both the lungs are associated externally with bronchi, which unite and extend into the trachea. As we breathe, the oxygen molecules enter the nostrils and travel downwards through the pharynx and trachea to finally reach the bronchi. From each bronchus, oxygen travels into the lungs. Within the lungs, the bronchus divides repeatedly to form bronchioles. Oxygen travels through these bronchioles and reaches the alveoli, each of which is surrounded by a network of capillaries. As blood flows through the capillaries, the oxygen molecules from the alveolus diffuse into the capillary. This causes oxygenation of the RBCs.
When you divide fractions, you form
Forced out. This exhaled air is rich in carbon dioxide. This process of inhalation and exhalation is known as respiration, which is approximately 20 times per minute.
It's repeated already, or I clicked somewhere.
Oxygen molecules from the alveolus diffuse into the capillary. This causes oxygenation of the RBCs. The carbon dioxide molecules are released into the alveolus. They are collected in the alveolar chamber, and then from the alveolus, it travels through the bronchioles. Into the bronchus, which finally reaches the trachea and is breathed out through the nostrils.
Okay, so answers this time if you happen to observe, but I think it was not answered by the video. So I hope you have ideas why the right lung contains 3 lobes and the left lung only contains 2 lobes. Who amongst us here is a nurse in the making or a doctor in the making? Let me start off with Raphael. Raphael, what do you think is the reason why we have 3 lobes in our right lung and 2 lobes in our left lung?
I don't know, sir. I have no idea.
You have no idea then. Okay, let me, thank you, Raphael. Let me give you a clue. The clue is Monday. That's my clue, Monday. Alessandra, do you have any idea? Why do we have our right lung to contain 3 lobes and the left lung to be 2 lobes? Clue is a Monday. I think your audio is not clear, Alice. So I'll get back to you then. So let's try. How about Alice? Asia. How about Asia? Maybe you can chat your answer, Alice, since your audio is not clear. Asia, what do you think is the reason? You don't know. Still, Alice, I am waiting for your chat if you wish to answer. Huh? Thank you, Asia. Maybe last one and I'll reveal the answer. Let's try. Bam, where's my good friend? Bam. What do you think is the reason, Bam, why we have 3 lobes in our left lung and 2 lobes in our right lung? Habale, 3 lobes in our right and 2 lobes in our left.
I don't know.
I don't know. Kent Buliser raised the hand. Maybe Kent knows the answer. Where's Kent? Okay, Kent Buliser,
Okay,
it's
sir.
okay. What's your answer,
Ano,
Kent?
sir? I think it's because the heart is located in the left part of the body.
Very
That's
good.
why the space, it will take space, sir.
Good job. If you notice that area, I hope I can get back to the video, but it's time consuming to find that space, that area there. The place in our left lung is somehow carved pa inside, diba? It's somehow carved pa inside. There's a space there which is called the pericardium. Pericardial cavity is the cavity where the heart resides. I will type the name there. Pericardial cavity. So that area, that's the name, pericardial cavity. If it change it to black. So that area is where our heart is located. That is why I gave the clue Monday, because every Monday we have the flag ceremony, and we always have our heart, our hand here, somewhere here, right? Not here, not in our and in our right chest, di ba? So have you seen my face? So, may magiliw ka diha? No, it's not. It's in your left chest area. And that left chest area has to have the presence of our heart. So, we have now the space occupied by the heart. Thus, the left lung contains only two lobes. If the pericardial cavity is where the heart is located, the lungs is protected by the so-called pleural cavity. This is the cavity that protects our lungs. Okay, so from the rib cage comes the pleural cavity. This cavity allows the lungs to expand and relax. It is not directly in contact with the rib cage. Do you think what will happen if our lungs is directly in contact with the rib cage? Friction will happen. And if there's friction, heat is produced. And if heat is produced, eventually there are complications that leads to severe problems in the lungs. So that's the pleural cavity, which is the cavity that protects your lungs, and then the pericardial cavity or the pericardium, the cavity that protects our heart. Okay. Good job, Ken. Thank you, Ken. So you now know Ben, huh? Okay, good. So we have here this is what I did mention a while ago, pleura. Pleura refers to the lungs. Again, pleura refers to the lungs. So when you talk about pleuralgia, this one, pleuralgia, it's difficulty of the lungs to contract. Algia means pain pala. Pleura, pleura is lung. Lungs na siya. This pertains to the lungs. Algia means pain. So when you talk about pleuralgia, it's pain in breathing. When you breathe, there's a painful sensation that you experience. That's pleuralgia. Then we have here, what's next? Pneumo. Pneumo means airs in the lungs or lung itself. And you have here pneumothorax, air in the chest. Pneumoectomy, the SX. What do you think is the meaning of SX? Ken Personalia. SX. This is a medical abbreviation which means system. Okay? It's a medical abbreviation which denotes or connotes, what is the exact word there, which means system. So pneumoectomy means system excision of the lung. Tomy means to cut. So that is it's like a cutting of the lung. Pneumoectomy, system excision of the lung. A while ago, we also have the common diseases of the lungs, which is called pneumonia. Pneumonia. Are you familiar with pneumonia? And then the illustration there is there's a blue thing in the alveolus. Pneumonia means fluid-filled alveolus. Okay? Please be reminded, it's only the air that is allowed in your respiratory tract. But if water accumulates in your respiratory tract, then infection will occur. In particular, pneumonia means air, instead of air in the lungs, there's a water accumulation or fluid accumulation in your alveolus, or in particular in the lungs area. Okay, let me get the annotation. Let's proceed. So you have pulmo. Pulmo means the lung itself. We have this in Visaya, pulmonia. That's not pulmonary, that's pneumonia. The Visaya for pneumonia is pulmonia. That means water in the lungs. But when you talk about pulmonary, it simply says lungs or pertaining to the respiratory organ, which is the lung, the main respiratory organ, which is the lung. Sinus is a cavity. Nasal sinuses also means the cavity in your nose. And that cavity is filled with air. Take note, the nasal cavity is filled with air. Sinusitis is the inflammation of your nasal sinuses, wherein there is again fluid in your sinuses in the nose. If you accidentally talk while drinking water, and then you breathe in or out, a little portion of the water goes to your nose, and you experience pain in your nasal cavity. That's a symptom of sinusitis. If it's not treated, it will worsen, and then it will result to chronic sinusitis, which leads to complications like cough and colds or even slight fever. No? Please be careful with your respiratory system as of the moment, class, because even a simple cough, everyone will say, "Oy, COVID, COVID," or some sort. No, if you just simply sneeze because of dust, COVID, 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 or and all or whatever. No, so just be careful with your health as of the moment. Then we have thoraco or thorax. That means chest. Thoracotomy means incision of the chest. Again, to me is to cut. To cut. To cut. Just like this one, lobotomy. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term lobotomy. No? Kidding aside, this is a term in medical practitioners. Lobotomy is a surgical operation of the head. No, the complete term here is prefrontal lobotomy. Lobotomy means to cut the lobe, not the lobot, but to cut the lobe. No, to cut the lobe of your head, forehead, the frontal lobe, the occipital lobe, the parietal lobe, and the temporal lobe. So when you talk about lobotomy, there's a small saw, gabas, that will cut your skull, and then open your skull and then see what's the problem of your brain. So that's just FYI, which brings us to the phrase "tomi," means to cut. So thoracotomy means to cut your chest, and cutting of the chest means finding a problem of that said chest. Are you familiar with the Korean series Romantic Doctor? Romantic Doctor Teacher Kim? Not that. That if so, if I may share it for a while, Romantic Doctor 1 and Romantic Doctor 2 Teacher Kim means a Korean series about doctors in Korea. No, what I like about the what I like about the series is that it shows from time to time operation. No, it operates people by replacing the heart, opening the chest, opening the brain, opening everything in the body. It's like it's a not so good series for those who are afraid of blood or whatever. But it's a good series for those who are potential nurses and doctors in the near future. I suggest you watch that one. Romantic Doctor 1 and Romantic Doctor 2. But the Romantic Doctor 2 is nicer than the one. I think Catherine agrees with me. Catherine, have you seen the Romantic Doctor? Not yet.
Heard of the plot, sir.
Okay. But I suggest you watch the Romantic Doctor 2 first. No. Okay, so let's proceed then. Here, tonsillo or tonsil, which means your tonsils. Trachea or trache, which means your trachea. So if we say tracheotomy, that's the surgical operation of your trachea. No? Here, this is what I did mention a while ago. The external opening of your nose is called nostrils, or in some medical term, that's nares or nares. As a general rule, the combining form of naso to the surgical words, which pertains always to your nose or nas or rhino. This is just a simple review of the first video. If you're familiar with the first video that we have seen, how will you pronounce this one? The nasal cavity also contains blank, which moistens and warms the air, which is the two most important job of our nasal cavity. Aside from moistening and warms the air, it filters the air that we breathe. What is this part? How will you read this one, Harl? Con. This is read as conchi. Okay, not concha, not conche, but conchi. Conchi. Then let's proceed. What else? The suffix therapy denotes treatment. So rhinotherapy means treating your nose. Um, what else? For as long as there's the word therapy, that means treating of something, of some illnesses, like hydrotherapy, treatment with water, cryotherapy, treatment with cold or freezing. Diba? We have cryogenesis in the some sci-fi movies. They tend to froze the body to preserve it if they are in a certain space exploration. No? That's also the thing about Resident Evil. Was it Resident Evil? The major heads of the Umbrella Corporation. They are in the cryotherapy. What is the meaning of I a hydrotherapy? Aero is air, hydro is water. So therefore, aerohydrotherapy is treatment with water and air. Okay. So after passing, this is just a simple review of our class. We will not talk about that one, okay? That's high definition already of This is not also part of our No worries, I will not include those which can't be understood by the many. Okay, this one, I wish you to have these words. Pharyngitis means inflammation of your pharynx. Pharyngoplasty means system repair of your pharynx. Okay, plasty means repair. Pharyngotomy, incision of your pharynx, to cut your pharynx. Pharyngotome, which means the instrument to incise the pharynx. Okay? Tome means to cut, tome means the instrument. Pharyngospasm means twitching, like muscle spasm or the spasm located in your like this eyelid. Okay. 4 minutes. Sorry. You can review the video if you wish to have the terminology. No worries, I will post this in the internet. Then, okay na, Harl? Okay, let's proceed. We have here the larynx or the voice box is responsible for sound production. And what part of your larynx is that which is responsible for sound production? Your vocal cords, okay? Your vocal cords, which is located in your larynx. That is why the larynx is also called as the voice box. The trachea is known as the windpipe. Larynx, voice box, trachea, windpipe. Partial laryngectomy. And not needed with this one. This is higher science. Okay, this part. During swallowing, the epiglottis closes off the larynx so that food and liquid are directed into the esophagus. I think you can recall the video about this one. So please see the video again for you to be clarified. That epiglottis is has its important job in protecting that larynx down to the alveoli. No other else can enter it except air, no? So it's like Gandalf. You shall not pass, something like that, no? And then here, trachea's windpipe. This connects the throat and the lungs. Not with this one. It's higher science. Um, Trachea is composed of rings of cartilage to prevent the trachea from collapsing if pressure during breathing occurs. Tumors are also called neoplasm. Neo means new and plasms means growth. Here, neo means new, plasma means growth. It could be benign or malignant. Cancer cells are cells that mutates. Okay, cancer cells are cells that mutates. A good example of a cancer cell is a wart. It's a mutation of the skin cells. Carcinoma is the suffix oma means tumor or cancerous cells. Carcinoma refers to the cells in your epithelial tissue which generates a malignant growth. But we will discuss carcinoma once we go with the muscular system. No need to have this one. What is this? Chondroma is tumor cells in your cartilage. The cells in your cartilage are known as chondrocytes. But we'll talk about chondrocytes when we discuss skeletal system, okay? It's just a simple background of these terminologies. Our main focus now is the respiratory system. So I have here the trachea divides into two branches called bronchi, and the bronchi divides into major, subdivides more into smaller branches called bronchioles. Question, what is the last part of the bronchioles which connects to the alveolus? The last part of the bronchiole which connects to the alveolus is known as the terminal bronchioles. Terminal, it's like the terminal in the O. Diba? When it's the bus stop where everyone stops to get out from the jeepney or the vehicle. It's also the area where the oxygen gets out of the alveolus to go to the blood cells, and then carbon dioxide gets in for it to be excreted or exhaled. Bronchioles are the smallest branches. The end part of the bronchioles known as the terminal bronchioles. There's an assignment here that I need you to class. Bronchospasm is an abnormal spasmodic reaction of your bronchus. Severe bronchospasm leads to asthma. Okay. Dilation of the bronchi is bronchiectasis. We have this a while ago. Not much with this one. Okay, this one. The small grape-like air sacs is known as alveoli, singular alveolus. Together, we call them alveoli. The alveoli is the exact place of exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide that is carried out by the capillaries in the circulatory system. Here, we have the pleura. The pleura is a saran wrap-like structure that protects your lung. Pleura or pleural cavity. Pleura in simple term. Pleura or pleural cavity. Here's the one. The suffix nia means breathing, okay? And then the prefix a means absence. Therefore, if you combine, the disorder is called apnea. Apnea means without breathing or the absence of breathing. Please take note of this one. Absence of breathing is apnea. Whereas we have the terminology as well, dyspnea. Nia means breathing. This means hard or difficulty or painful. So therefore, dyspnea is difficulty in breathing or painful breathing. And then eupnea, murag mungi, eupnea is normal breathing. Normal breathing. Eu means normal, nia means breathing. Eupnea means normal breathing. Pronounce this one, Jade. Eupnea. Hi, Jade. Curious kasi Jade, eh? And then we have also the tachy means fast. So if we combine tachy with nia, that means fast breathing. Tachypnea, fast rapid breathing. And then the contrary to tachy is slow, which is brady. Brady means slow. So if we combine it with nia, bradypnea means slow breathing. When you experience rigorous or strenuous activity, you have the tachypnea. But if you are just simply lying down, you have the bradypnea. There's also another terminology that is in consonance with tachypnea class. The term is hyperpnea. If this is fast, rapid breathing, hyperpnea is a condition already that leads to an illness. Fast, shallow breathing, something like that. And then if we have bradypnea, we also have the term is hyperpnea and I forgot the terminology for the contrary to hyperpnea. Maybe in the activity that I have there, it's present. But if it's not, never mind. So hyperpnea, hyper plus nia, hyperpnea. Fast, rigorous, shallow breathing. And then we have here the diaphragm. The diaphragm is already time check is already time. Time check is already time. Is already time class. Please copy or screenshot or picture this in your cell phone. This is your assignment. Use any dictionary possible and find the meaning of the following. Perhaps I may or may not include this in our exam. It's just for your own notes-taking purposes. If I may include some of these in the exam, it could be hypoxia, pneumothorax, and then we have the emphysema. Picture, share it to your friend for those who failed to see the presentation. Okay, so it's almost 3:40 and I am overextending. Thank you for your participation today, class.